Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Wednesday as we're testing 44,800, which is the most important support level for Bitcoin if we don't want to assume that we're going to see prices below 40,000. And I decided to do this video live, being the fact that we're going to be resuming these live streams, and this is such an important time. But I'm going to quickly just run through a summary of the video for those watching the replay, and then we'll get into some news and answer some questions from the live audience. We'll see how this first live stream goes. But I do want to talk about a lot of things today, including the gold to Bitcoin chart. And of course, 44,800 is important because we've already come down below this level with this initial wick testing 41,950. And so we've already cleared the order book one time in this range, and we've come close to this range, but this is the first time that we're testing 44,800. And so if this level is truly going to hold, and we don't want to assume that Bitcoin is going to breach below 40,000 US dollars, we really need to start seeing some volume here. There's market structural support as well, which was previous resistance, as you can see here from September of 2021, and that also dates back to April of 2021, where we had 2 points of contact. And so this is a major area for Bitcoin, and it's the first time we're really testing it. So we can't really say that the initial wick was the test, because that was just giving us an indicator of where Bitcoin wanted to go, where the institutions wanted the price to be. And what do we know? We're around this 200-day moving average. So a lot of people are saying, is this a good time to be buying into Bitcoin? I think that if Bitcoin, and if you believe that we're truly still in a bullish market for the next 5 years, the next 4 years, at least the next 3 years, that Bitcoin should hold its 200-day moving average, and it should have price levels test back towards this area at some point or another in the short term. If there really isn't much bearishness fundamentally, of course, the Fed's minutes came out today, and we've seen the tapering away of asset purchases. And so there are some fundamentals, but I'm going to talk about what's happening in traditional markets, because the S&P 500 just broke new all-time highs. And all we're doing today is testing the previous weekly open. And so the puzzle pieces that we are entering into a bear market are not necessarily there, in my opinion, when it comes to the four-dimensional environment, as we've been covering here on the Snipers channel, including the S&P 500. We look at gold as well being extremely calm right now. And so I don't see why there would be a necessary extended bear market here in the short term. And so being below the 200-day moving average, that in my opinion is always a good time to be buying. I know reports have come out recently that we've been seeing the lowest amount of volume that we've seen on spot for from the last 5 months and things of that nature. But when nobody's talking about an asset, I heard this once from Charles Munger, I believe, from one of his books, that the time to be buying an asset is when nobody's talking about it, nobody's trading it, right? So I think that if we truly believe Bitcoin is still in a bullish trend in at least the next year, that this is right now a very important test of extremely crucial support at 44,800 that we must hold. And so it is going to be interesting to see how the first test holds up. I personally, if you were to ask me for my opinion, I believe that we could hold this level. If we look at what's happening here to Ethereum, notice how we're also testing the range of 3650 and 3454. And this is a very, very important range, because this is the most important support level that would prevent the door opening up for Ethereum to get back below the $3,000 level. And so we stay above 3650, or we at least stay above 3454 with the worst case scenario, then that's still extremely bullish here. Ethereum has yet to even test its 200-day moving average. Notice how, I'm just going to go into DeFi Pulse really quick, but we're going to do more of this when we take some questions from the live audience. But notice how this chart of total value locked in DeFi has already broke out just recently, and Ethereum has yet to follow that price action. But Ethereum looks extremely bullish, not yet testing its 200-day moving average. On the weekly chart, sorry, my dog is in the background, it's below the 20-week moving average, but it's still holding on to that 20-week moving average. And so that's something to note. I'm just going to quickly check up on the live stream, make sure everything is going good since this is the first one. It looks like we have a live audience here. Cool. We've got viewers. Awesome. So I'm going to continue on, make sure there's no issues. John D, Geo, yes sir, on the live stream. So that's so far what to mention. And notice how I want to just bring traditional markets back up. We look at the gold to Bitcoin chart. For a lot of people that have the thesis and the idea that Bitcoin is in an early stage of taking over the market cap of gold, I mean, this chart in the macro is a clear downtrend, right? When we look at gold's value against Bitcoin, it's a very clear downtrend. It almost looks like the QQQ's inverse ETF chart, where it's just in a very, very clear downtrend. And realize that we've already tried to come up to test this 50-week moving average in June, and we couldn't even get there before seeing further downside here. But now we're above the 50-week moving average for the first time. We've finally got above it. And so I think another thing to keep in mind right now, and the reason this chart's important, by the way, is because it's the exact inverse of the Bitcoin to US dollar price. If we look at the Bitcoin US dollar weekly chart, notice how we are exactly wedged here between that 20-week and 50-week. Right now we're falling away from the 50-week, while the gold to Bitcoin chart is doing the opposite because it's inverse. It's moving above the 50-week. If we believe that gold is still going to be losing value against Bitcoin over the next 5 to 10 years, and this chart is going to continue in a downtrend, then we shouldn't stay above this 50-week moving average for too much longer. And so this is also going to be an important chart to watch here to determine whether or not we're going to see a continuation in this bullish cycle. So I hope that you guys are enjoying what we're covering here so far. I do want to talk about Bitcoin dominance here because we breached these lows here for the first time, and a lot of people have been calling altcoin season. A lot of this has to do with what's happening to Ethereum against Bitcoin. Of course, the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is a leading indicator for altcoins, as we always cover here on the channel. But Bitcoin dominance breaching this major support here at 40% right now, that really is not a bearish puzzle piece. In my opinion, this is an extremely bullish puzzle piece, because this means that if altcoin season is going to continue, then the total market cap wants to move further up. And when the total market cap moves further up, wouldn't you assume that Bitcoin will also move with the total cryptocurrency market, right? If we're long on Web3, I know Chamath recently was asked what he's long on for 2022. He said Web3 projects in the early stages. Then the total market cap testing its 200-day moving average. Check that out. We talked about this yesterday. I said to watch, where is Bitcoin going to be when this total market cap is testing its 200-day moving average? And what do you know? It's 44,800. And so this also proves that we are at a very important level for Bitcoin right now. And what do you know? We're also live, the day this is happening, which is cool. I finally got the live stream set up here. And so I'm going to take some questions here from the live audience. I don't want this video to go too long for those that are just going to be watching the replay, because I want to make these live streams as efficient as possible. But a lot happening right now. There's some news that I want to cover. But with Bitcoin, we really need to get back above the $44,800 level here in the short term. This is a very important test. Once again, I personally believe that since this is the first test of this level, that this potentially could reverse back to the upside. I think that there's the highest chance of that happening right now that we're going to get if we're going to see further action to the upside. Once we get back above 44,800, that 200-day comes back on the equation, that $48,000 level, of course. But for the downside, once again, if we cannot hold 44,800 on 4-hour and hourly confirmations, notice how this 4-hour is just now just clinging on to this level. If we get a full 4-hour candle below, and depending on the candle symmetry, then that could be the confirmation that we're going to come down to test the range of $38,000 to the $34,788 level, because I don't think 41,950 will hold for a second retest after the initial test of this had already happened. So that's really the downside scenario that I'm watching out for. I'm going to take a couple questions from the live audience and we'll wrap this stream up. Geo in the house, Precious in the house. I do have some news I want to cover really quick. Notice this chart of volume. As I mentioned earlier, we're seeing the least amount of volume right now in the market. It's been about 5 months since we've seen this amount of volume, and so we're at a time where people aren't talking about cryptocurrencies in general as much as they were before. And because we're not talking about it as much, we're trading it less, And that typically is the time when an asset is good to accumulate, right? This happened today. Powell said, they released the minutes from December, and he said we're phasing out purchases more rapidly because with elevated inflation pressures and a rapidly strengthening labor market, the economy no longer needs increasing amounts of policy support. So, people are putting in bearish news, I guess you could say, on the headlines, but it's not reflecting when it comes to traditional markets, because S&P 500 broke new all-time highs yesterday, right? And you look at Japan above all its daily moving averages, gold still calm, US oil still above all of its daily moving averages. Are we in a bear market? I don't think so. Is the crypto market just seeing a garden variety retest of important levels? That could be the case, and the 200 days is extremely important. Two things on Glassnode that I want to cover before we wrap up this live stream. Ethereum open interest in perpetual futures contracts just reached a 3-month low. So we're not seeing as much futures volume, right? And that's typically a good thing. That means that the prices aren't artificially inflated, I guess you can say, and that we're not really trying to make a decision right now based on the futures markets. We're making a decision based on spot. Yes, there's low spot volume, but isn't that the time to accumulate, right? So I just want to bring some of these things up. Maybe it's the right time to end this live stream because my dog is going crazy, but notice how the whole market's coming down right now. We're testing important supports. You buy the dips, and that's the most important thing in this cryptocurrency market. I'm just going to wrap up this stream. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry I can't take too many questions right now. My dog is going crazy, but we already went quite long here, and so I don't want to go too much further. And so remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you all for tuning in live. You see, we got Ailey, Freedom Channel, Big A, Marco. Thank you all for tuning in today. I'm going to wrap this up. My dog is going crazy, but this is already over 10 minutes. I want to see how these short streams play out for those that watch the replays. I know a lot of people listen to our podcast and stuff like that, but I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's a very important test of an extremely important level right now. 44,800 must hold if we want to assume further upside. And with that, like always, thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you guys next time. Snipers